Today I'm going to be speaking to you about an evaluation of a program called MenoMoveUK, which ran in 2025 by the Body Hotel CIC, which is a Wales-based and international social enterprise that focuses on movement for well-being and burnout prevention, and in this case, looking at the intersection of physical and mental health. The Body Hotel started in 2020. We've run about 4 programs that have been funded by Arts Council Wales, and we are very curious about how movement, dance, physical activity can really support marginalized groups and particularly healthcare workers in supporting their well-being, looking at coping skills for how to really integrate this aspect into everyday life. And we use group, online, in-person interventions that are tailored for each organization and group's needs, which we then have grown into pilot programs in a trajectory over the last 6 years. The rationale for looking at menopause has been quite pervasive in terms of the research and also the rise of new groups such as menopause cafes, and there were some menopause standards that have been developed, and there's been some research in terms of the impact of perimenopause and menopause on the workforce. And some of the highlights of these research studies have shown that participants usually are coming into different programs because they're experiencing fatigue, they're feeling quite isolated, and feel quite alone in their experience of perimenopause and menopause. And recent surveys have been demonstrating that despite some of the barriers in terms of engaging with physical activity, there is a true desire, there's a willingness to wanting to remain active, also due to recent research looking at the importance of physical activity in ameliorating the symptoms. However, a lot of people really have been struggling to access support, and support that actually looks at a holistic approach to well-being. And here's where we come in. There's been some additional research in terms of how dance can enhance vitality, which has been one of the tenets of the evaluation and one of the reasons for how movement can be quite impactful. The experience of people have also illustrated how, even though there's a lot of talk-based groups, there's some menopause cafes, there's discussion forums, and that's super important in terms of accessing support, but that might not work for everyone. And as some of the trauma research also entails and indicates, they're very challenging events get stored in the body, and sometimes when we're going through very challenging situations, it's very difficult to articulate this and put this into words. And this is where creative approaches and kind of reconnecting with the body, having that moment to pause, to reflect, is really important. And there's also a lack of non-clinical support, which might not be accessible to everyone. We ran this pilot in partnership with Aneurin Bevan University of Health Board and Velindre NHS Trust, and funded by Arts Council Wales. And we recruited around 33 participants. We offered hybrid and online, hybrid online and in-person sessions at University of South Wales and Newport campus, and the online aspect was one of the super surprising aspects of this evaluation, because there was an international and cross-national appetite for the intervention, which was one of the key successes of the evaluation. There were also, as I'm going to be speaking to you a little bit more about the evaluation design, there were a lot of demonstrated improvements in well-being and solidarity and community connection. And a lot of the participants' testimonials say the importance of the non-judgmental space and an inclusive facilitation style which was really important for them. And this is a video of our participants engaging in one of the sessions. The design of the delivery, the delivery of the workshops was focused on a main pilot, which ran 12 sessions, separated into two series of 6-week interventions. And they alternated between online and in person in Newport. And this was in coordination with the Aneurin Bevan Arts and Health team, and also some referrals from GPs and a menopause specialist, Dr. Michelle Olver. This was really important for us for it not to be seen as an add-on intervention, but a core intervention that's been referred through medical services, in addition to opening it up through community spaces. We were also interested in 2 specialized groups because there were some really specific needs that we wanted to test out. One was working with people who have were going through menopause as a result of cancer treatment. And this was in partnership with Velindre NHS Trust, who referred different groups that were doing some well-being days. And we wanted to see if there were some themes that were particularly relevant for this group. And then a second group that emerged out of different new reports and a film actually that looked at trans men and non-binary people's experiences of perimenopause and menopause, and how this group has been quite invisibilized really, and hasn't been able to access a lot of support. So we wanted to trial these 2 sessions. And a really core important part of the Body Hotel is to continue developing a community of people who want to engage with movements for well-being. And we hold self-care Saturdays, which is a gathering of people. And we wanted to keep that as part of our core funding, because it keeps building audiences, building interest, and also building a really, solid group of people that have it's kind of evolved into a support space. The evaluation design was conducted by Hannah Wrigley, and this was really interesting because we got a chance to experiment a bit in the pilot and see how evaluation is not seen as a kind of an additional tool or a tool after, but how it could be embedded into the interventions themselves. So we had a wide variety of methods that we tested and we refined in collaboration with the participants, who were kind of giving us ongoing feedback about what was working, what was not working. And Hannah Wrigley, who has evaluated many projects, she also used the most significant change approach. And so it was a combination between having focus groups, having these ongoing conversations, which could be then semi-structured interviews. And then a really interesting aspect of the design that we came across was this idea of doing an hour of movement. So the sessions were around 90 minutes, an hour of movement, and then a spill the tea session, which was a spoken or written testimonials. And we got a chance to open up the discussions, make some connections to the movement work that we did in the beginning. And also we could have a variety of creative tools. And then we also used a short online questionnaire, which also we had in person. You can see that in the top right corner of all the different evaluation materials. And that helped us really hone into vitality, symptom management, and solidarity, which were key well-being aims. And one of the challenges that I found in terms of research is that most of the well-being scales focus more on cognitive processes, and we have trialed throughout, we did a previous program which had a social return on investment evaluation, and we trialed out this tool called the Neuroception of Psychological Safety scale, which is from the Polyvagal Institute and is one of the few scales that actually include body-based symptoms. So we did kind of a session pre-series and a post-series. And we refined that to in the second series as well. And then we love to incorporate creative tools because the symbolic aspects of creativity really give us a lot of insight into people's experiences. So we really value the input and the impact that creativity can actually do and have in evaluation. And so we incorporated a tool that I've been using in quite a lot of my work and my book that I published last year on decision making through movement and the arts. And the body check-in chart is you can draw, you can journal, you can write. So it's a way to map out what's happening in your body, sensations, images that come up, thoughts, emotions, and it's a way that we used in the sessions. Some people were drawing while we were discussing in the Spill the Tea sessions, which was really interesting, and it had a multimodal then way of people engaging. We measured, as I have said before, vitality, symptom management, and solidarity, and the key findings were around emotional regulation, having more skills or different activities that we did to manage stress, to manage kind of this additional pressure. Some participants reported a pain reduction as a result of these sessions, and there was one of the key aspects around solidarity was that a lot of the participants reported not feeling alone in their symptoms, that actually being with people who get it. And there was an element, of course, because it's my also lived experience in terms of perimenopause. So having a facilitator that was also going through a similar process was really a point of connection for the participants. And as part of the funding, which was really important, and that's part of all our funding bids, is that I have a clinical supervisor as well that was supporting the meta processes throughout all the program really. And the beautiful finding that the online component was able to appeal to a wider demographic and reach internationally across the UK, and that was a really surprising finding in our evaluation. And then we look at the impact of how, when we put all these tools together and this very complex design, which was very robust and really supported our journey through understanding that relationship between movement and symptom management. Particularly, there were a lot of marked increases in terms of the participants' experience, particularly in terms of bodily awareness and relaxation and understanding the body and those signals that it's giving, particularly when there's rapidly fluctuating hormonal changes, which can affect mood, it can affect energy, it can affect even joint pain, can cause joint pain, and there are all these additional symptoms that are arising, and there's more awareness of them. So having that bodily awareness was really key. And that also was supported by social engagement, by being able to connect with other people. So that was really one of the most important aspects of the impact that the project had. And this was a really amazing quote, from, this was a poem that one of our participants engaged with during one of the reflection sessions. So we really try to incorporate in our design moments of reflection, journaling, drawing. People want to move, people might want to engage with the music. So having a different arts media so that people can identify how best they can reflect, how best they can rest, how best they can process what's going on. And this amazing poem, one of our participants wrote, "MenoMove, to move and mend, swim through our sins, whisper our thoughts, stretch and swing into a space where we land together." There were some additional testimonials, and you can find these in our evaluation report on our website. There's a project website that I'm going to link to as well, reporting different aspects of their experience throughout the 12 sessions. And the next steps that we want to engage in is that we want to apply for funding. We are looking for partners that want to engage with us in future iterations of the work. We want to scale it up. There's already interest from Aneurin and Bevan to continue the work and deepen that partnership. And we also want to develop this into a professional development offering for healthcare professionals to support them in new skills or creative skills to better address symptoms and, different reports and that communication that to support menopause health. We want to we already have a long-standing offer in terms of digital resources. So we want to do bespoke menopause and perimenopause related resources to support some of the skill building that happened as part of this program. And our goal really is to have this be an integral part of social prescribing and GP prescribing so that there's awareness from our, I like to call them gate openers rather than gatekeepers. So the people that actually can open up pathways and find ways, a wider variety of ways that people can engage with their well-being. So part of our additional resources, which people can access, are in our Public Health Wales website. We were kind of commissioned by Arts Council Wales to create a series of movement strategies that would be accessible to the wider public. And we focused on 3 key themes: energize, recharge, and unwind. So there's 3 very short, accessible exercises that people can engage with in the HAPAS website. And here's the QR code for it.
Hola everyone.
And you can also access a lot of our social media resources and contact us if this is of interest. We also have programs for employee well-being, and burnout prevention has been a big area of focus for our programs that has been evaluated and has had a lot of positive impact. So we invite you to get in touch with us if you have any questions, or you're interested in movement, or you want your workplace to bring us and invite us to be able to offer this to a wider community. So thank you very much for listening, and hope we get to move together very, very soon.